Hey everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of our 3D Coat Textura Introduction video. And like I said in part 1, in this video we'll be applying the textures onto our model. If you haven't seen part 1, you can go ahead and click the link to get started. So, let's get into it. So now we will want to bake our textures and bake all our maps. Now the reason for baking all your textures and baking your maps before you apply any materials, 3D Code needs to understand how these things work. Now it needs to understand where your model curves, where your model has dark spots, it's spots that are light and some parts that are thinner than the other. So now it does this by baking two kinds of maps. It bakes your occlusion map and your curvature map. Now in the previous 3D code, it had, I think, a black and white curvature calculator. So it used to calculate your curvature, I think, in black and white, and it couldn't really be altered within any way after it's been baked. So now I think with this new 3D code, you can change the width and how the curvature is while you're applying your material. So it's not like a permanent thing immediately you bake it. So now what the curvature map and ambient occlusion map does, or what the materials use it for. So now there's a panel over here, which is, I don't know, it's a square. I can describe it as a square, and it says always. So now if you click it, it shows you different types of options. So it says always, more on concave, more on convex, less on concave, less on convex, more on flat. So practically this is kind of describing to you and telling you that these are the sections of the model that it's going to paint on. So it can't discover this on its own without those textures, I mean. So it needs to bake these textures so that it can apply in those specific areas of the model. So now what we're going to do, we're going to bake the curvature map first, which is what I usually do. I hardly ever bake the ambient occlusion first. I usually bake my curvature map first. So we have all our normals now, and just so we don't get confused when we're painting, I'd like to rename this layer as normals. And do not forget, guys, to please save your model in case the application crashes or anything like that. So you should save your model right now or anything like that. So now we are going to bake our model, our model's textures. We're going to bake our curvature map. So just so you know, let's check our preferences also. It could be set to, okay, this is beta, wow. G to pole, allow splines, okay, so these are just, so it's an experimental. So wow, I'm actually using a beta version, wow. I didn't know that. Maybe that's why there's quite a lot of things that don't work. This is a beta version. Use RGB cavity. Okay, so as it says over here, it says tools, use RGB cavity as a default cavity calculation method. So practically what this is going to do, it's going to calculate our RGB cavity automatically. Like it'll calculate this type of cavity first as the default. So if you uncheck this, then we'll be able to choose which one. So I'm gonna uncheck mine. I usually do that, it's safer. Calculate curvature. And curvature calculation method, it says default. Okay, so you can't really set what it can do over here, so I think I'm gonna check that box again. Cancel, edit preferences. And I'm gonna use RGB actually, apply. Since you can't really change it to local curvature without the RGB, so I'm just gonna use the RGB. So we're gonna click calculate curvature. Okay, you actually can. So the local curvature, this is the old one and this is the new one. So we're going to set it to local curvature RGB, which is automatic. Then you press OK and let it calculate. Okay, so it seems like it has completed or completely calculated our cavity map. So it seems like it actually previews that first so you can see what it looks like. So I'm pretty sure you saw what it looked like. Let me just bring that back. You can actually see what it looks like. So, okay. Now let me just, I think I can turn it on just so you can view it. So we can turn on our RGB cavity map by clicking this eye icon over here. So we can clearly see our RGB cavity map. Doesn't look like the best thing close up, but it seems like it works, so we're gonna keep it. And then now what we are gonna bake is our ambient occlusion. So I think this one is not gonna take as long as the cavity map. That one took quite a while. I think like it took like, I don't know, 10 minutes, something like that. I don't really know, I didn't really count, but it took quite a while compared to the old black and white local cavity map. So right now we're gonna bake our calculation. We're gonna bake our occlusion, I mean. So press OK and let it bake. Okay, so our ambient occlusion has completed its baking. So if you want to read this, you can read it. It just tells you that your ambient occlusion is attached to all your other layers. So, and it's a visible layer. So yeah, we're gonna press OK. And what we want to do, it's suggested that you save right now. I've saved. So it's suggested you save because in case it crashes or anything like that, you don't want to lose your ambient occlusion on your cavity map because it takes such a long time to bake. So yeah, if the ambient occlusion actually takes, I think, a relative similar amount to the cavity map now. I thought it was quicker, but they bake around the same time. So what I want to do, what I did notice is that, okay, so why I said you should save is because you're going to be changing our HDR. I think the first time I changed my HDR, it crashed. So I want to change it to something with more light because this one's quite dark and it doesn't show your materials pretty well. And I don't like that. So what you want to do is, okay, I'm already in my metal. Come to your metal. Oh yeah, and I had to, since I saved, I think it like reverted something like that. So I need to rename this again. So I'm gonna rename this layer normals. And I have to delete this. And then I'm gonna call this metal. Or maybe just call it base. Okay, no, metal. Metal. No, but I want to call it my base actually, yeah. I'm gonna call it base. And then what I want to do from there, come to my smart material. Since I've already baked my maps, I'm gonna come to, yes, my steel. I'm gonna click on my steel. And what I want to do is, since we've baked everything, I hope you turn back on your channels. And right now we can use our smart material preview to see what it's gonna look like when we apply this. So it looks like it's gonna look really cool. So yeah, that's pretty nice. I like it. So we're gonna go to our fill tool and we are gonna paint. We're gonna apply these textures, these materials, I mean. So press apply. You click on it and it applies it automatically. Click there. We're gonna do it on every metal part first. Okay. So far it's looking nice. I like it. It looks really cool. And then also on our thingies, these turning things, whatever they are. Now, since we baked our normal maps and the cavity with our normals, you can see that it applies it really well. Like it's got a nice, these carves or something like that. It looks really natural now. So we're gonna do that and do it on every part. Now, what I wanted to do, since these things share, some of them share a UV set or a UV island. I'd like to change some stuff. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then now I want to apply my leather. So I'm gonna go to my leather, and I actually had a leather color palette that I wanted to use. So I'm gonna use image, go to image, and then I'm gonna click this. Hopefully it doesn't crash, anything like that. And then I'm gonna go to my downloads. my designs folder. Okay, so it's sometimes important to make a color palette so you remember your colors. So, because sometimes I forget my colors, so yeah. If I take this color, so I'm gonna use that. And then what I want to do, which one do I like? I think I'm gonna use this one. And if I preview it and see how it looks. Doesn't look that bad. I want to see how it looks, including all these things around it. Doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that good either. So if I change to this one, maybe. Even though this one's not that good at all, I don't like it. So I'm gonna use this one. And instead of right-clicking and having to come to Smart Material Editor, I think they've added something where you can now double-click, and it's supposed to open your Smart Material Editor. And it does exactly that. Now the reason I made that color palette was because when I textured it, I wanted it to be similar to that. So I'll make this red. And then I'll make this brown. So when I move this to the side and I preview it, hopefully it looks better than what it's looking like right now. It doesn't look so cool. You can choose to save to new, save, I think, okay, save as new, so it's safer. So we still remain with the base one. Then once that is there, you can check what it looks like. So you can scale it in to see how it looks. Let me just zoom in a little bit and scale it in till you're satisfied with the whole look. So bring this back out. Okay. This is a good time to use this aspect ratio thing. It looks quite tight, so I want to release it a little bit. Okay, that's cool. So then I'm going to fill that and see how it looks. Okay, so it doesn't look exactly like what I thought it was going to look like. There's less of a depth. Like it looks quite different. But it isn't like the depth isn't as much. So I think I should try and increase the depth maybe. So what I'm going to do, yeah, the depth is, I think it's quite low. Let me try and increase that. Something that looks nicer. Okay, so the depth has increased, and what do I want to change? Let me see the degree. Oh yes, perfect. I think that's what I want to change. Now there's also cavity width, yes. I can change that however you want to. And try and drag it out. This is how, okay, perfect. So this is actually what I wanted to see. So we can alter the RGB cavity. So if we bring it low, so this actually, it changes your cavity. It's a really cool new feature. I kind of like it. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put this on a level I'm happy with. So like that, yeah, that's not that bad. And then your roughness. Okay, 30 is really cool, it's fine. Then roughness, it's quite rough, man. So I want to decrease that rough. I want it like, yeah, it's too rough. So I'm gonna save that. And then now, when I apply it, it should look different. Great, looks so much better. Like it looks so much better. I like it. I think I'm liking this new cavity, this new RGB cavity. So when I check it over here, similar concept. So I'm gonna add that. Okay, so it has applied that. I think I'm kind of liking this new RGB cavity thing. It's quite cool. You can see it even adds cavity on the seam over there. Oh, yeah, and I should apply some metal there. So what I want to do now, I want to go back to my metal and go back to my normal metal and apply that on certain places. So I want to apply that over here. Great. Now what I want to do next. Okay, so now I want to get these specific parts. I want to change them a little bit. So I kind of like this new material that they added. Yeah, I think it's a really cool new material, and it's got quite a lot of roughness. It's got quite a heavy, it's actually quite, like the depth is quite high. So I want to reduce all its depth, and I like it like that. I'm going to save that as new. It doesn't have any depth to it now. So when I preview it, it shouldn't have any depth to it. Wait, it kind of does. Okay, it kind of still has depth. So I think I'm going to remove that with these panels up here. I'm going to set the depth to 0. And the roughness. Okay, let me see if I can change the roughness. Roughness. Okay, no, the roughness is, there's nothing wrong with the roughness. So the depth is, I've set it to 0. I think I should actually remove the whole depth texture. Maybe that might change it. I want to remove that. So there's no depth at all. And save it. Then after that, I think it looks cool. So I'm going to zoom in. And then I'm going to apply that over here. And also apply it over here. And there. Now I know you guys are most probably not going to be doing this step since you're using the version of the other model. But I will make it. I will make it possible to get this model so you can texture paint with this model, so it feels more natural. Oh yeah, and this. Change that, and also the screws. Practically, this is just applying the texture. So you're not going to be hand painting anything in this video. Then the thing underneath should be also dark. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, no, should it be that color? Okay, no, that's a really cool color. I like it. And then now, what I want to change, I want to get a fabric texture for this part. So I'm going to go to my fabrics. And since none of it doesn't have much fabric textures, I'm going to import one of my own. So I'm going to come to make new. And then, oh wait, let me just save in case it crashes. I come here. So this is how you're practically going to be making a new material. So I've got my material somewhere around here. Now I'm gonna make this available so you also get the material. And which one? I want the base color. Yeah, color. That's looking nice. The depth. Not a problem with that. Roughness. Now I know in the previous Textura version, I had a problem with importing metalness textures, and it crashed. So I don't know if it's gonna crash. So I don't want it to crash. So and fabrics don't really have any metalness to them. So yeah, and then I would like to use this red one. It actually looks pretty cool. I like it. So I'm gonna name this fabric 1 or fabric new and press save. So you should also have this by now. And then when I come and apply it here and see what, whoa. Oh yes, I think my depth, oh no, my depth is still there. I think because, like, let me just check that. It's kind of like it's refusing to use my depth textures. I don't know why. The bump map may be map required. The bump map required, but you map required. Map may convert it to the bump, but this is time. So it actually says it needs the bump map, not the normal map, but it says normal. So that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. That is kind of weird. Maybe I have to remove it in depth texture. I don't want it to bake that because it might take a really long time. And it's not even using my normal map. Okay, so since it seems like it's actually struggling to use my normal map, it needs the bump map, and I don't know why, because it used my normal map the first time I did it. There's quite a lot of things that could be changed, but it's not a big deal. We just need to make a bump map for the next video. Or yeah, we just need to make a bump map when you do it. And it doesn't look cool at all. It does not look cool at all. I wish there was a normal map texture. So I'm going to fill this. It looks weird. It's not that bad. So we have that filled in now. And then what I want to change is also the gloss over here. Now, since you won't really be seeing through it, I don't think I should make it transparent. I'm just gonna leave it like, so I should check probably a metal texture. Since it probably looks like metal. Maybe if I check this one, maybe. It's quite rough. Okay, so I think I'm actually gonna probably make a new one. Well, let me try this one out. Steel. I might darken this so it kind of looks like a dark gloss. If I increase. Just see if there is anything that's pretty cool here. Okay, so the gold looks like it could make a nice gloss. So I think I'm gonna use the gold, Smart Material Preview. I'm gonna use the gold, but then I'm gonna make it dark. No, I don't wanna use that. Then I'm gonna make it dark. Slightly red, probably. And then if I press OK, and if I preview this, yeah, that looks kind of nice. I'm gonna save that as new. And now, if I paint that, doesn't look that bad. I think it looks pretty cool. Kind of mimics gloss. So yeah, that's nice. And then now, what I want to do, also paint the back, but it's also another gloss. Oh yeah, it does that. Alright, semi-rotation around there. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna come here. And then, yes, okay, and color that. And then I'm gonna come to my default texture, so probably plastic. Try plastic. Oh yes, this looks nice. Plastic 3D printers looks really nice. It looks really shiny. So I'd like to decrease. Oh no, something else. So I'd rather make a new one since it's plastic. And then I'm gonna replace this with a module so that I can take the color from here in case I want to change it. And the roughness, I'm gonna set it to low. Now, since it's plastic, it doesn't have any metal to it. I think I should make it like 30 or maybe a 40 roughness, a roughness of 40%. Then I have that, and when I come here, I can change the color. So whenever you use the module, it's just gonna take the color from this section, make it like a dark, like a really dark gray, almost close to black. Perfect, that's what I wanted. Now, I'm gonna paint in my stitches since I have the whole model painted now. I'm gonna paint in my stitches. So I'm gonna go to my other view and I'm gonna make a new layer and I'm gonna call it stitches. And I hope this imports. Let me just save because sometimes it crashes and it's annoying. So I'm gonna add a new strip. And since I still have my old one there, I'm gonna add my really cool strip. So it's in okay, so it loaded in really well. I like that. Come to my brushes and I'm gonna use this one. Now let's see what type of brush I'm using. Okay, so if I increase the size of the brush, yeah, increase the size of the brush. If I'm to paint, okay, that's not what I want. There's the strip. Oh, I didn't click it. Perfect. Kind of weird how it doesn't have any normals with on it. It is kind of weird. Okay, so I'm gonna set my color to red also. So I think 3D Coat is having a problem or something. It's kind of fighting my normals. Okay, no, I didn't turn off. Oh yeah, I didn't turn off the material. Yes, so 3D Coat is not the problem. I was the problem there. I didn't turn off my material. So when I paint, yes, they are my normals. Perfect. Now I don't want the glossiness because have you seen a glossy seam? That's a beautiful seam. Perfect. So now I'm gonna zoom in and I think it's quite big. So I'm gonna decrease it in size. And I'm paint from there to there, see how it looks. Great. So I'm gonna increase it a little bit more. And then I'm gonna come over here and click from here till there. Perfect. Now see how my seams are different from the 3D Coat seam that you guys are gonna have. You're probably gonna have to use this seam. But how my seams are different from the 3D Coat seams is that it actually includes the darkness, the dark spot, and it looks like it's going into it. Now, as you can see, it's like it's overlapping over here. It's like the bottom seam and the top seam are overlapping. So to change that, I just changed my layer added depth. I made it max depth, and it looks like it's on top now. Perfect. That's what we want. When I zoom out, I'm just gonna erase that. Let me just finish everything here. Add some seams here too. And then it's gonna look really cool. So I should come over here, add some seams. Perfect. Now that's looking really amazing. Now I'm gonna use my eraser tool. And I'm going to turn off. Okay, it's already off. It's off, okay. And I'm going to erase the exceeding seam. That looks amazing. I like it. That looks really cool. I really like it. Now I'm turn that direction. Yeah, that looks like a real seam. Now we're gonna make another layer. We're gonna call this layer dirt. So we can apply some dirt to this. Always save in case it crashes. Now that seam looks really realistic. I really like how it looks. So then we're gonna go to our dirt, and I think check this one out. And if I turn on my material preview, I can see how it's gonna look. Okay, my channel doesn't look as intense, but it's really cool. Try this one. Okay, so none of them look too intense, but they fill it out. So I think before I do that, I think I should come to my base, and I want to change that to have some metal on it. So I'm gonna go back to my other material, and then I'm gonna come to my texture editor. Since they share the same island, UV island, now you can see that your color. I'll bring this out. Your color section actually has a whole lot of materials now. It actually looks painted. So when I click wireframe and I zoom in, which one is it? Wireframe. I think it's this one. I paint it. Okay, it is that one. Now it's painting with the seam. I'll turn that off. Take my fill tool. So this, if you were to click over here, it'll paint the whole section of this model. But if I click here, it's only gonna paint this UV island. So I'm gonna paint over here, and boom, I changed it. Nice. So I can put this back, and it's looking really nice now. So I come back to my dirt layer, smart materials, go to my dirt, and I think I use this dirt. Okay, so now I can apply and view it. It looks pretty cool, looks nice and normal. I'm going to use the fill. Now I could fill the whole layer, but I don't think I want, okay, I do want everything to have dirt on it. So yeah, I could do that. But I want the dirt to be different on every section in a way. So like this should have also a slightly different dirt. But yeah, I think I want to fill the whole layer. So what you can do, you can come over here and say, flip, where is it? Fill the entire layer using current material and color. So if I press OK, it will fill the whole layer. Okay, so I had to undo something because I think I painted with the strip on. So now I don't know if it'll make a difference, but if I fill the whole layer now, probably will make a difference. Okay, not much of a difference. So I'm just gonna use dirt too, and then I'm gonna fill the whole layer with the dirt. Great, so it has filled the whole layer with dirt. Now it seems like there's a bit of some artifacts over here. So it looks like it also affected the line. Like the seams also have a line. Like this edging that I made. And look, I think I should have used this type of a brush so that it can fade out towards the edge. But since it already baked that, it's just something to undo the next time I paint it. So if I zoom in, let me just see how things look here. So yeah, I think it has painted the model really well. Even the section with the gloss has some dirt on it. It's this new RGB cavity also. It's quite wild. Let me see if I can change it. Okay, let me just check something. if I were to fill it again, okay, no, I wouldn't fill that again. But yeah, it actually looks quite great. I'd like to add some more dirt onto this, so I'll add again. So it looks kind of like some blurred out glass. And okay, the one at the back looks really blurred out, so I wouldn't touch that. And then this needs to have more dirt. Okay, yes, I should add some more dirt to that. And the second one. And that one. So this isn't really that big of an issue. It just needs to be changed when adding this type of a strip. So when you're adding the strip, it's suggested you use one of these brushes that are more faded out towards the edges, so it's not so hard. Because then when you add dirt, it's gonna cause this kind of artifact. If you don't want that artifact, you can just go to the fill tool and say fill with eraser. Probably turn off the dirt, then fill with eraser, and it has it gone. Now this section won't have any dirt on it. Then you'd probably have to paint the dirt onto it from this section. So yeah, the dirt is quite intense. I wouldn't lie. It's some quite intense dirt. Regarding the fact that it's using the RGB cavity, like the cavity is not that bad. It's really helpful, but it looks really intense, like really intense. So if you want to, so I think I should try that actually. I'm gonna fill with color. Actually, no, come to my paintbrush and come to my texture editor. Yes, come to my texture editor. And I just want to fill this section out. So I come out of wireframe mode. I think I can select where I want to fill with points. So using the vertex lasso. Okay, so I can paint where I want to fill. So I don't want to touch the other parts too much. So I think I should go there. Okay. If I zoom in, oh, why isn't it panning? Okay, not that big of a deal. Go there, then there. Oh, but then it's gonna have edging. So smart materials, make sure I'm on dirt too. And then might not be as perfect, but you can't undo the cavity map. So I'll end here. That's how it looks. Perfect. It filled it really good, and there's no visible seams or any evidence that I did that. So then, okay, so then you'll actually have to do that on the other side too. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come with my fill tool, fill with eraser. Turn this off and fill with eraser over here. And then fill with color. But then look for my section that has, where is it? Yes, there is it. So I'm gonna fill this over here. I'm gonna fill the section right before the seams. So come to my brush, change back to that lasso thing, and then click that. Then I'm gonna click right here. I don't really want some edging problems. So then if I click that and click there, there, and then there, and there. Great. It has added some dirt, and I like how it's looking. It's not that bad. It's actually really cool. So I think we have come to the end of texturing a model in the 3D Coat Textura. So if you want the original 3D model to practice on, there's a link in the descriptions of where you can download it. And not just that, I throw in 5 seam textures, which are both the strips I used, and 3 more generic seam textures that can be really helpful with your texturing. And of course, the download file will include the original textured telescope model and all the material I used. And you get all of that for a minimum of $10. If you've come this far, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for any of my future content. Thank you guys for watching.